Well, folks, the boots are, well, water's coming up over the top, so we got that going for us today. Wow. Well, folks, that piece literally dissolved right off laying in this water. And actually, my hand stings a little bit. I'm not sure if I touched stinging nettle. They're sealed. Essentially, they're supposed to be sealed. But the hands got a little bit of burning sensation. So I'm going to get a little acid, battery acid, on my hands. But this guy, you guys might not have been able to see it, but that was laying in about 1.5 feet of water, actually. This whole swamp is flooded down here. So get this packed up and head on out. Hey everyone, Clint here from Oak and Iron Outdoors. Got some bad news. I ended up losing a knock-on-door permission property that I was able to hunt this previous year. And this piece of property was actually my largest property that I was able to hunt. And I worked on the farmer, if you want to call it that, for 7 years. And I was finally able to get permission to hunt it just because he had a relative move away. So that allowed me to hunt it. Well, this relative is now back. And because of it, I'm no longer able to hunt this property. But with that being said, what I want to talk about today is that you're going to have these disappointments in bow hunting. And that's just part of the game, actually. I think a lot of people, you know, when I talk to some people why they got a bow hunting, the number one thing that they mentioned to me is they lost their property, whether they own the property or knock-on-door permission to hunt, or they leased a property and somebody came in and gave more money to hunt that property on that lease. The key though is that if you truly enjoy bow hunting, you're going to find a way to get it done. Now for me, I don't own any property at all. I just hunt public land and knock-on-door permission property. I'm not rich by any means, but I live a frugal enough lifestyle that allows me to do a lot of hunting and fishing and to be able to get out and do one of the things I enjoy the most, and that's bow hunting. And one of the things when you do the knock-on-door permission property or even public land, you have to prepare yourself for these disappointments. So I want to talk a little bit today about these disappointments that you're going to come across and how to handle them. So let's walk on to the next spot to get that trail camera while I discuss how to handle disappointments and change that frown upside down, if you want to call it that. The first thing I want to mention is to surround yourself, if you hunt with other people, good people. They don't necessarily have to be great bow hunters as far as skill level goes, but they have to have that drive, that determination to get it done, and they have to have a positive outlook on things. As you older hunters know, bad things are going to happen. And what I mean by bad, I'm not talking death, obviously, but you know, you're going to miss a deer. You're going to hit a deer. You're going to hit a big buck. You're not going to recover it. And if you hunt long enough, that's just part of the game. So you need to surround yourself with good people. And I've had times too where, you know, the shot didn't go the way it's supposed to, you know, but there's times where I have questions too. And I've been, you know, in this game since I was essentially 12 years old. And, you know, I don't know everything either. And there are times too where I have questions that I want to get another person's opinion on. And that's what my bow hunting buddies are for. So to confide in them. And the key is that they're positive, because somebody that's negative, and all it takes is that one negative person in your hunting group, and it's just that, like that rotten apple syndrome. It can spread and turn all those other good apples rotten. The second tip is to be always one step ahead. Now, one of the things that that I do every spring is I get permission to bow hunt or try to bow hunt another piece of property. And some people might look at me as kind of a land hoard, if you want to call it that. But the thing of it is, just like it happened this year, seems like for every 2 pieces of property that you might gain for knock-on-door permission, you're going to end up losing one. And then for me, the properties that I can hunt, they're usually fairly small, and that's why I got permission to hunt them. I have one property that's 2 acres, and I have another property that's 3 acres. And then my average size property is probably about 20 to 30 acres, and that's about it. So for me, I always have to be that one step ahead of the game. And you do that by getting, in my case, properties lined up. And with these properties being small, I'm gonna tell you right now, out of the essentially 11 properties that I have, I'm going to guess, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess that probably only about a third of them are going to hold the type of buck that I'm going to be after. And then the following year, it might be the other third, or a couple other properties that didn't hold that particular buck. And that's essentially my strategy, and that's how I go about hunting particular properties without having to lease, buy, or own land. And it's what I've done my entire life, and then mixing that in with public land. Sometimes I see these people when they say they miss a deer, or they didn't hit the buck where they were aiming, and in some cases that can be equipment failure. They just weren't familiar enough with their equipment, and some of that has to do with just not practicing enough either. I think there's some people who just pull out that bow the week before, start shooting a little bit, and then they expect to be able to arrow every big buck that comes by them out to 50 yards. And that is not the case at all. You need to prepare and persist and practice. And those 3 P's are the one thing that I always try to stress to individuals for bow hunting throughout the entire year. You have to stay on this game. This game is really, I enjoy fishing a lot, and I hate to say it, there's some times where I feel a little embarrassed when I'm out on the water fishing, and I know I should be out in the woods scouting, or maybe moving a tree stand ahead of time, whatever it might be. And the reason I know that people aren't prepared equipment-wise is that you look at archery shops. You can go to archery shop in January or February or March, and they're pretty bored over there for the most part. And then all of a sudden, you're that month away from archery season, and they're just inundated with bow hunters. And why is that? Because everybody waits to the last minute, and all of a sudden they shoot their bow. They find out that their string is fraying, a bolt is loose, there's something wrong with their bow, it's not shooting the way it's supposed to, and it's last minute, and they try to get their bow in, and some of these archery shops are just too small. They just can't take on that amount of volume, and you don't have your bow ready in time for bow hunting. So the key is make sure your equipment is up to par and ready to rock opening day. Next tip is to be physically and mentally prepared. And, bow hunting to me, once again, is year-round. But that's one of the reasons why I fish. It kind of takes me out of that hunting realm. Fishing's fairly relaxing. It's not too taxing physically and mentally, although it can be, depending upon what you're fishing for. But this is my essentially wind down time, and now I'm starting to ramp it back up again. But mentally, I have to be prepared for disappointments, knowing that they're probably going to happen. That's just part of the hunting realm and how the hunting world works. But yeah, you just really need to start concentrating and getting your game plans out, start strategizing, do cyber scouting, and be prepared for plan B. The other part is to be physically strong. And as I approach 50 years old, I'm a mobile hunter, and I need to keep my legs strong, my core strong, and I have to have my endurance up. Public land, I am carrying my gear in and out, and then I have my filming equipment with me on top of that. So I need to make sure that my body can handle the rigors of hunting a full season and be strong with that. So for me, lifting 2 to 3 times per week in season is a goal. Off season, I try to do 4 times per week of lifting and keeping my body fit for that purpose. So from a physical standpoint, you need to be physically strong, because you might get, into early December, late season bow hunting, and you're just exhausted. You've been hunting maybe sometimes 10, 11 straight days, haven't gotten it done yet, and you're just wiped out, exhausted. There's a lot of us guys out there who are getting older, and we are tree rats, and we have to be able to climb these trees yet, and to get ourselves up there, and then once again carry all of our equipment back in there. And then you might add in a day below freezing, or 20 degrees or 10 degrees or 10 below day, and that can be quite exhausting on you, especially if you're an older bow hunter like myself. So the other thing is to make sure that you are physically fit to be able to handle the rigors of a full bow hunting season. I want to share a sad story with you guys, with a guy that I talked to online on a forum last year, and he gave up bow hunting. I think he was probably in his mid 40s or so. And, I just reached out to him. He put it out there actually online, and I just reached out to him. I said, why are you giving up bow hunting? And he said, I lost my property, and kind of like what I have going on here today, losing my property. So my thing was, well, why don't you get another property to bow hunt? And for him, he said it was all had to do with that one particular property. It was 80 acres, and it was in the western part of Wisconsin in Buffalo County. And for him, every year, he said that he was able to shoot a 160 to 180 inch class buck, and I was kind of blown away by that. The properties I have permission to hunt do not have anything close to that at times. So with that being said, I'm like, well, why don't you take up a new challenge? Maybe you just need to be challenged and take up traditional hunting, traditional archery. And, the challenge of getting a 120 inch buck with a traditional bow, traditional setup, I said, that's a great challenge. The reward to me is outstanding to be able to get that type of buck with traditional archery equipment. And for him, he said, no, that wasn't it. To him, it was that ability to see those big bucks every single night. So for him, 140, 150 inch buck, as he put it, that was a nightly occasion, and he'd pass those particular bucks up. And to me, I'm like, okay, I understand that part of it. So was he really in love with hunting, or was he just in love with the trophy? And, I hate to say this, and I'm not telling anybody how to hunt or the way they should hunt, but for me, I just love hunting. I love the strategizing, sometimes pushing your body to the limits, just being out in the woods. What a great way to spend a fall afternoon than to be out in the woods here. And I guess for him, it was all about chasing the trophy. And he was no longer able to do that. So I felt kind of sad in a way for him. And I don't know why I felt that way, but I just thought, well, maybe he just didn't totally understand what bow hunting was all about. And hopefully, I wish I could stay connected to him. I don't even know who he is anymore. I kind of lost track of who he was. But I hope he finds his peace, and maybe he can find that thrill of getting back out in the woods again. And, I think for a lot of people, they get caught up in that trophy mindset. And don't get me wrong, I'm always after a trophy buck. I can't say that I'm really any different. But I do understand that that's a small component of hunting, and it should be everything that's involved. The people that you're with, being out in the woods, God's creation, the strategizing, all that good stuff. So just wanted to share that with you guys. And as the old adage goes, when one door closes, another door opens. So you never know. Maybe there's something that's going to open up. For me, from a hunting perspective, who knows, maybe that one night that I would be chasing that buck right back here on this particular property, I'm on a different property that night, and I arrow that buck because I wasn't here. Only God knows that. And but sometimes those are the ways that you have to look at it. And the key is don't ever give up. I think in bow hunting, there can be a lot of disappointments because, it's a game of skill and a little bit of luck, I think, involved, but skill more than anything. And, things happen, and we have to keep that positive mindset. Well, the key to today's video is I don't want you to give up. You're going to come across these bad things that are going to happen to you. And the key is, once again, to be prepared for everything, including mentally, physically, your equipment, and the people you choose to bow hunt with. whatever you do, do not give up. That's part of this channel. As a bow hunter, I've had my ups and downs in the hunting world, if you want to call it that. But I'm not going to ever let it stop me. And I like to be around. I like to surround myself with people who are like-minded. And those are tough people. Those are people who, no matter what it takes to get it done in the hunting world, to get it done, or really in their life, period. And it's just nice to be around those people, positive people, high energy people, and people who just love the outdoors. So folks, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, Clint from Oak and Iron Outdoors.